We are very fortunate to have Mark Young. He's the Chief Risk Officer of ConsenSys. So, Mark, please come up and give us an update.
Thank you, Paul.
Mark actually has a nice presentation for us, so here we go.
As a former Navy guy and veteran of the Department of Defense, I feel like I can't do anything without a few slides. So I've only got a presentation that's only got about 72 slides, so we'll get through this real quick. My background, this will be a little nerdy. I apologize for that, but is there anyone in the room that disagrees with the statement that particularly all of us, including corporate and government leaders, have to be a little bit more technically savvy in today's world, particularly in this sector? Any disagreement on that? Convince me otherwise? I say that because the technology is so fast moving, it's so agile, and it's so complex that if you don't know the difference between single key or dual key encryption, you're already behind, right? So just to let you know, my background is I was a Navy nuclear electronics technician as an enlisted guy. I got a commission, flew off of aircraft carriers for about 18 years, and then wound up at the National Security Agency for about 12 years. Went down to Capitol Hill, was the chief counsel on the House Intel Committee for about 4 years, and then back up to Cyber Command to do a lot of essentially offensive stuff, particularly in planning and execution, and then into the private sector for the first time in a career. So I'm still learning, so if you guys have anything to teach me during this presentation, by all means, speak up. So just run through, this will be, I'm kidding, of course, on the 72. This will be real brief. Just wanted to share that we'll talk about a little bit about threat modeling, why it's important, a little bit about Treasury security. Chris mentioned the Bitcoin reserve. If we cannot secure that reserve, well, that will be a public relations nightmare, and then that'll set us back in the policy world. So we don't want technical glitches to get in our way of good policy. And then I'll just hit information sharing real briefly at the end. You should know about a couple of organizations. Next slide, Mike. Has anyone ever done any threat modeling work? Yeah, so essentially, I won't go through this stuff. I'll just, next slide, Mike. It's essentially what we would all do if we were considering something that was risky. We'll take a look at what assets that we have to protect, what the threats are to those assets, what the risks are, what's the likelihood and probability that those threats are going to manifest themselves, and then what are we going to do about it? All of, when I talk about anything from the ConsenSys perspective that we do, whether it's protecting our wallets, protecting our treasury, protecting our people even, this is the process that we go through. We want to make sure that we know what the threats are, what their likelihoods are, what do we do about it, and how do we protect them. Incidentally, this also applies to physical security. With the United Healthcare attack in New York in early December, a lot of us should be concerned about visible entities in our organizations facing physical threat, because what if someone lost thousands of dollars through a scam or pig butchering and they want to come after your CEO? A lot of these CEOs are vulnerable, visible, and so we want to prevent that from happening. You can see for threat modeling, it manifests itself when it comes to something like a DeFi protocol. You identify the user pools, the funds, the governance tokens, then you figure out how likely and probable is a flash loan attack, and then can you institutionalize a couple of circuit breakers and smart contract audits to prevent it. Next slide, Mike. There's a couple of non-Web3 frameworks that exist for threat modeling. I won't bore you with these kinds of things. Everyone in this room is probably most familiar with the, is this working?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Can you hear me all right? Well, we need it for the live stream, so.
Okay, all right, I'll be a little better with the mic. Everyone is probably most familiar with the kill chain analysis that comes from the cybersecurity realm. And so all these things are important frameworks. I will let you know that ConsenSys is working with NIST to see if we can institutionalize a couple of these things, to say, hey, a lot of the frameworks and the processes that we use for normal technical security, they do apply to Web3. We just need to adjust them a little bit. It's an artificial number, but what I'm fond of saying is about 80% of what we do to protect Web3 infrastructure is the same as we use to protect Web2 infrastructure. Server's a server. Now, the protocols are different. Smart contracts are different. The code is a little different, and we don't have like wallets. Of course, we have key storage, but so we just need to adjust those frameworks a little bit to make sure that we can protect that other 20%. Challenge me on that 20 and 80. I'm curious if anyone has something different to say about that. Okay, next slide, Mike. I'm going to show a clip. You'll understand why. I'm about to get into treasury security and how we're securing the consensus treasury. A lot of our organizations hold a lot of crypto. So how do you protect those things? And why do you protect them? Particularly since, as we know, crypto can be very volatile. So as you're sitting with all of those assets in your treasury and they go up and down, you've got to be able to move to make sure that you protect your organization, just like a normal financial institution would do. And if anyone knows this movie, it's a great scene. Do you remember anyone else have gosh, all of you guys are probably younger than I am. Anyone ever have the experience that when the teacher wheeled a monitor into the classroom, you were always happy because you got a video instead of having to listen to someone like me go on and on and on? That's why I put these in here. You get 2 of them today. Go ahead, Mike.
And Mr. Sullivan, what does your model say that means for us here?
Well, that's where it becomes a projection. But,
You're speaking with me, Mr. Sullivan.
well, sir, if those assets decrease by just 25% and remain on our books, that loss would be greater than the current market capitalization of this entire company.
So, what you're telling me is that the music is about to stop, and we're going to be left holding the biggest bag of odorous excrement ever assembled in the history of capitalism.
Sir, I'm not sure that I would put it that way, but let me clarify. Using your analogy, what this model shows is the music, so to speak, just slowing. If the music were to stop, as you put it, then this model wouldn't be even close to that scenario. It would be considerably worse.
Let me tell you something, Mr. Sullivan. Do you care to know why I'm in this chair with you all? I mean, why I earn the big bucks?
Yes.
I'm here for one reason and one reason alone. I'm here to guess what the music might do a week, a month, a year from now. That's it. Nothing more. And standing here tonight, I'm afraid that I don't hear a thing. Just silence.
We can go to the next slide. So I feel a little bit like Jeremy Irons when I'm looking at securing our treasury that has a substantial amount of different tokens in it. I want to make sure that it's well protected. And what is the connection between all of this nerdy stuff that I'm talking about in policy? Well, Chris said that, I'm sorry, Paul, you said that like we're in a new era, and as we all grow, as the industry grows, what does that mean? The bigger the industry, the bigger the target. Lots of malicious actors out there, including some nation states, and we just want to make sure that we're well protected, whether it's smart contracts, wallets, tokens, processes, and our people that I mentioned earlier. So, next slide. So on Treasury security, I won't bore you with the technical aspects of all this, but what good looks like means all of these things. So we want to make sure that we, in Consensus, we've got robust protections around all of these things. For example, one of my favorite capabilities we have is that how many folks store their tokens in a hardware wallet? Smart people. Awesome. So how do you prevent a wrench attack? Everybody familiar with wrench attacks? So who holds in a hardware wallet? Let me pick on somebody. Okay, you. So I break into your house, I put a gun to your head, and I say, I know you've got crypto, I know you've got a lot of it, where's your hardware wallet? And you pull it out. And I'm going to force you, on pain of death, to transfer your assets to me. What do you do?
It's not here.
You sure you want to go down that route? I'm putting him on the spot. Yeah, so let's assume for a second that the wallet's on the table. You got your Trezor on the table. And now, like, it's a little hard to say that. But fair point. That it's a vulnerability for all of us. And so, in a prior life, walking down a street in a foreign country, and you guys may do this too, as an above average group when it comes to intellect, when accosted by a malicious party asking to give up my assets, I do pull out my wallet, and it's got credit cards and it's got an ID. If you look carefully, you'll notice that the credit cards are all expired. The ID is not me. And it does have some cash, both local currency and dollars. So when I hand that over to you, you go away happy and I go away alive. Same deal with hardware wallets. So I put that gun to your head and I say, transfer those assets to this address right now. So you put in your PIN, and I can see how many assets you have on that hardware wallet. I'm happy because I'm about to get, I don't know, say $2,000, preferably ETH. Sorry. So I see the balance, and I'm going to take all of your ETH, take all of your assets, and you transfer them. By the way, the interesting thing about the way we do it is when you put in your PIN, you used a special PIN that goes to a particular partition on the wallet. And by the way, law enforcement was also notified when you put in that PIN. So you actually have $10,000 in ETH on that wallet, but what I see is 2, and what I get is 2. But it's not all of the assets held on the wallet. So it's a duress PIN. It's the same thing as me giving you a fake wallet and having you go away happy. Same deal. It's a very easy technical solution. And we've worked with some folks to develop that. Okay, Mike, next slide. In those treasury operations, what does that look like? We want to make sure that our multi-sigs are well defined. We have a whitelist process. Has anyone been the victim of address poisoning? We were. It wasn't. It was not an external party. We fat-fingered in the wrong address and wound up recovering the assets, but it does happen. So you can see all of the things that we do to make sure that our treasury operations are well-defined, monitored, recoverable, and audited or auditable. Not by like CPA standards, but like security audits, we can pass that. The point on the policy point that I was making earlier, that mature operations like this means confidence. Confidence means maturity. Maturity means that we've got a nice flywheel of growth in the industry. Next slide, Mike. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist a Gary Gensler photo in there. Same thing I was kind of saying, that we want to have functionally assigned wallets, so certain monies come into wallets, certain monies go out of wallets. These are like standard things that the industry has evolved into, but it's moving rapidly. We want to make sure that the NIST standards are helpful for our industry, not just industries of the past. Next slide. We offer some training on this kinds of things for all of our folks. We've got multiple signers throughout Consensus, and we want to make sure that they are up on the latest and greatest of how we are managing our wallets and our treasury and our transactions and our multi-sigs. Next slide. So this doesn't happen. Go ahead.
What's going on there, Daniel? Wait, this is weird. A second ago it said 144,579,651, but now it says $70,000 less.
Now, Josepha, can you stand up? Now, what is your new number?
$70,562 now in my account.
Is it possible that Josepha's balance went up the exact amount that Art's went down?
Well, hey, check it out. It's happening again.
Is it?
Wow. It is. Art's balance has gone down another $280K.
Gina Robertson, what did yours say?
$281,477.
All right, Mike, you can stop it there.
She's right. We lied.
So, all of those things, bigger threat, right process, get the right people trained, right technology in place. Last part I'll talk about is some information sharing. That's a Louis L'Amour quote up top, and I do think that particularly we learned this lesson in the intelligence community. We learned this lesson in dealing with between the public and private sectors, that information sharing has got to be quick, it's got to be accurate, it's got to be valuable. That's as the first quote says, and then my friend Vince Cerf said the second thing, that particularly when it comes to encryption, I'm gonna really nerd out here. Who saw the new NIST-approved encryption algorithms, quantum-proof encryption algorithms? Man, I'm really outing myself here. So I had a discussion with Vint about those algorithms, and his point was, yeah, they could be great. I want to use them inside Consensus for something, but he says, use them. The idea is once those algorithms come out, you got to use them, break them, figure out where they work, where they don't. That's encryption. I'm fond of saying that there are three kinds of mathematicians: those who understand encryption and those who don't. So it's early. Okay. Next slide, please, Mike. I want to point your attention, if you're not familiar with them, the Security Alliance SEAL 911 team. Over 50 million in crypto recovered by this organization. We've got some strong participants in the SEAL 911 folks in Consensus, real leaders in that organization. Free service. All you have to do is send up a flare on Discord to say, hey, look, I've lost some funds. I've been the victim of a scam. And they do remarkable work to get that money back. All volunteers. There's also the Crypto Information Sharing and Analysis Center. Nonprofit organization that gathers information from all its members and then distributes it back out to the members and potentially to the government when asked. We've already had a number. Consensus is a founding member of the Crypto ISAC. We've had a number of interactions with the National Security Council, primarily about North Korea, as you would imagine. Great organization. Here's my challenge. If I were to draw a graph about the technical expertise and the credibility with the United States government, Security Alliance has remarkable technical capability, understands all the things that we've been talking about, encryption and wallets and smart contracts, the ecosystem, the crypto ecosystem, way high on that graph. Credibility with the government, next to nothing, because it's a bunch of degens who are they don't want to have anything to do with the government. They wouldn't be caught dead in an organization that talks to the government. Crypto ISAC flipped that. High credibility with the government, very low technical capability and understanding of the industry, other than what we members bring to the organization. My vision is to somehow get these two organizations to cooperate such that we get the best of both worlds. Because if we can't talk to the government, we can't prevent badness. But if we don't have that technical expertise, we can't prevent that badness either. Next slide, Mike. That's it. You guys hung with me. Thank you very much for the tour through Nerdville there.
Mark, thank you so much. Fascinating presentation. I, for one, am very glad you're working in this industry. Thankful for Consensus and the work they do.